Ladies and gents, thank you so much for tuning into the S Method podcast, Strong, Sexy, Successful. You're probably wondering why there is a guy on the screen. Well, let me give you a little brief history. I started this podcast because I'm a woman, clearly, and I am an entrepreneur, and I'm an athlete, and I'm a lot of things. And when I was having pretty much my mission and my vision questioned by another woman, I was like, forget that. I'm going to show that you can be it all. You don't have to choose. So the mission and vision of this podcast for women is to bring women together and support and empower each other. However, we got a special treat. We got the Man Crush Monday. It's the quickie, the strong, sexy, successful quickie from a man's point of view. And what the purpose of the Man Crush Monday feature of this podcast is to bring in amazing men who do an amazing job of supporting women. We're going to talk none other than to the amazing Dorion Griffin. I used amazing 3 times. That's maybe that's a really good word.
That's okay. That's cool.
But it just kept coming out. So we're going to speak to Dorion Griffin today. He is a longtime friend of mine. Well, long time, like 2 years now, 2. And the evolution of our friendship is really, really intriguing. And as we have actually developed and evolved in our own personal and professional endeavors, it was amazing to have, and still is amazing to have each other alongside of the journey, to see each other's personal development, but literally be genuinely a number one cheerleader. And I think that the stuff that we're going to talk about today is really going to open your eyes to how men and women can do a better job of supporting each other. So let's talk. Who are you? Tell them who you are, what you do, and what you're doing now, what you stand for, that I love so much.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for the introduction always. That was very beautiful. So, as y'all know, my name is Dorion Griffin. I consider myself a guide. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a coach. I'm a guide to help specifically men gain more traction within their own sovereignty so that way they can walk within their kingly essence. That may sound a little bit esoteric to most people, but to break it down in a simple fashion, it's having that man walk in his true power apart from his ego, fully integrating the feminine energy and the masculine energy so that way you can express both as authentically as you possibly can. You and I, we met through the fitness industry. I was a personal trainer with NASM, and that went a little bit well, had some investments here and there, but I realized that I started to hit a lot of resistance in that lane. It just didn't feel like that was something that was coming natural to me. So during that time of COVID of 2020, I revamped some things. I started speaking my truths about how I think men and women can relate to people and each other more effectively and more authentically. And within doing that, I got some DMs, I've gotten questions, I've gotten recognition from men and women that say, we appreciate this and we need this because you are saying things that I have been thinking about, things that I have had questions about to help me get to some form of clarity. So I do think that, and I do feel and know that I'm headed in the right direction. And you sent me a message too to reassure me of my evolution as a man because you were with me when I first started my journey or my purpose at that point in time within the fitness industry. So I kept coming to you as my coach and I still come to you as my coach. But after you saw me make that transition, you reached out to me and you said, thank you, because I have been thinking about this, and to see your evolution as a man is a beautiful and extraordinary thing. And that's something that I hold near and dear to my heart every single day. It absolutely keeps me going because it gets tough out here, but I just have to go on and say that.
Dog must be sniffing like tears brewing because I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. Just coming over to become part of the conversation. Okay, go sit down.
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to really express to everyone listening, watching, is that this is a critical conversation. It's so critical to me because so many people are in relationships and friendships and even in like family relationships and more in terms of their acquaintances having an effect on them that is really detrimental, and they don't know what genuine authenticity and care looks like. And so for people like ourselves to have come together through a fitness mentorship that where we met. And then to stay connected beyond that, but really evolve alongside each other and to see each other's professional growth, but also to say like, look, like this person, I love what they're about. And a lot of people think like love is romantic only. I have loved so many people in ways that like love is genuine care, and where you decided to take your career and your teachings to people and the things that you talk about, it really is about that, but it stems from yourself. Love, as you've, and I should have brushed up on some of your more epic posts and quotes to be able to whip them out, but the gist of it is self-control, knowing who you are and being able to be divine in that so that you can see that in others. And there is no power struggle. There is no competition. There is no demeaning of another person. It's really taking that person you're in a relationship with or a friendship with and upholding them because you're secure in yourself. And I love the way you are teaching that specifically to men, but also you've threaded some female things in there. So I want my audience and my friends and my family or anybody listening really to hear what you have to say. And we're going to talk a little bit more intimately about our conversations, because I will tell you, when you are truly aligned with somebody in a friendship or a relationship or whatever it is, that's the person you can cry to. That's the person that, you know, sees you beyond the surface. And part of me with this strong, sexy, successful S Method brand is to bring that authenticity and vulnerability to a place where it's normalized.
Mhm.
Take it
Yes.
away. Tell us something.
Yes. So you mentioned the feminine about some of the quotes that I put on my IG about that. So one of the things that I can say off the top of the dome right now is that um, women, don't be afraid to let your man lead you. You know, he's not there to condemn you. He's not there to make it seem like he's above you in any way. He is there to guide you and him so that way you both can get to the kingdom, so that way you both can build your empire. What I see within my generation and just with this us being on the planet as a whole, women feel, not all women, some women feel like a man giving them guidance, telling them what to do is it's like like you said, it's like a power struggle, but it absolutely isn't. It's not a power struggle. It's coming from a place of love and care organically because he wants to see you succeed. He knows that your growth is your growth and he is not going to step in front of that. There are going to be things that you will have to experience apart from him. But when you're with him, what he's learned along his journey within his warrior, within his magician, within his lover archetype, he wants to share that with you simply because he loves you. And that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Another thing that comes to mind as well is that women are beautiful and you are powerful. Like everything stems from you. So to be able to walk this planet right now as a woman is a beautiful thing. And I think that in a society today where that everything is very over sexualized, we need to see it for what it truly is. Like there's nothing like seeing a strong, powerful woman in front of you going for her purpose, just as you going for yours. You can appreciate, you can admire. There's nothing wrong with that, but see her and feel her for what she truly is. Look past the mundane things because we're going to see, you know, we're three-dimensional beings when it comes to sight, smell, touch, things of that nature. And then you can appreciate that. But when you are in the company of her, when you listen to her speak about her goals, when you listen to her speak about things that she may still be insecure about, those are the moments that allow you to connect more deeply with her. But it starts with us as men. There's a lot of misconception about what it means to be a man and the blueprint to being a man and how to be the correct alpha male in today's age. So there's a lot of misconception and a lot of questions on both ends of the spectrum. I feel that it is my purpose now to not necessarily be Switzerland, but to come in and shed light on my truth of the matter and maybe other people's truth as well. It's just something that they may feel or they may have been afraid to say themselves.
You know, one of the things that you just said that I was thinking about that I need to comment on from a female's perspective because I've fallen victim to this. And you might know this, this might have been in one of our many conversations, but to let somebody in, like a lot of times, if you're like me and you're very career driven, you're very, there's an ego to that. There's an ego to why we do what we do, why we want to be successful, why we are successful, why we hold achievement really high in our souls. And if I don't achieve something, like me personally, I can be so self-deprecating to the sense that like I'm an egomaniac to myself, and I will make myself feel horrible when I don't do something. So therefore, what ends up happening is that I retreat, I withdraw, I don't want help, I need to fix it, I need to find it. He always decides to play with his toys when we're on a podcast. Get out of here. So when you are looking for that person, or you have that person right in front of you as a male that can do exactly what you just said for you, you have to be able to let them in. I have been so tough girl, tough minded around some relationships before that I probably lost out on the ability to benefit from a man's support, in addition to me robbing him from the things that he wants to do to show how he loves and show how he's a man. And I feel like you need to address that, because it's not just, okay, men got to be better, men got to be better. Me as a woman, I realize, oh my God, I have to tone it down a little bit. I have to let people in. I have to be okay with crying. I have to be okay with things not being perfect. And that was a struggle for me, even this year. This past year was hard. I think in December I like lost it.
Yeah, the roles are reversed. You know, women are stronger than men nowadays, and men are weak. That's just the fact of the matter. And it's not necessarily our fault, but in my assertion, it is our responsibility to walk within the energy of being a man. Now, you can be a woman and still have masculine energy within you, but then you have to balance out the feminine energy as well, vice versa for the man. So, as far as coming together and having connections with people, it depends on the individuals. How safe do they feel within themselves to allow somebody else in,
Yep.
to allow somebody else to give them a small form of guidance on what it is that they are trying to do. Maybe they just want to help in a very authentic way. But to get to that place, you have to have a lot of ego death. You have to spend a lot of time with yourself and with your emotions to be able to conceptualize what it is that you're feeling, where it's coming from, and how you can dissolve that. And that takes time. In a space of instant gratification today, a lot of people don't want to do that. Prime example, COVID. You're not doing anything right now. You're sitting at the crib, everything's closed, you can't go party. So there's really only two options. Like, you can either look at everything that's coming up, because it is coming up, whether you choose to look at it or not, or you can do anything within your power to distract yourself from that. And so the next time you come into alignment with somebody who is truly correct for you, you're not going to be able to trust that, because you're going to think that this person has ill intentions towards you simply because of something you haven't healed from in the past, so on and so forth. So, as you just said, with you being a woman and you allowing yourself to let those walls down with other men, that takes time with you as well, because you've been in such a career driven focus, energy, and mindset that your ego may perceive that as weakness. Like, oh no, if you let this tear drop, then you're gonna be losing money over here. But if you let this drop, then you're not gonna be able to make that happen over there. When in actuality, being vulnerable with somebody who is safe, who you feel safe enough to be vulnerable with, they will aid you, and they have the ability to aid you. And you can be of service to each other, not use each other. You be of service to each other to aid each other on their journey. Because the way that I look at it is like, there's going to be some people that you're going to meet on your quest, and those people are going to help you, or sometimes other people are going to give you a lesson along the way. But for the people that are there to help you on your journey, appreciate them while they're there, because you may never see that person again, but you can always take the lessons and the knowledge that they have given you along on your journey, so that way you can pave the way a little bit easier for yourself. It's challenging. It's not easy by any means, but this is why we have to practice, both men and women.
And it's funny when you allow that to happen, you allow people to call you on the carpet. And you actually said something key last night to me that I was like, oh man, you're so right. And and like for years I didn't want to admit it, but when you get to know somebody, you can find the answers that you were looking for because they'll be able to point that out. And so the tough, like there's a balance. I think there's a balance between that inner, whether you want to call it femininity or emotion, and the hard exterior. And it wasn't until you phrased it in the perfect way last night, I'll let you say it because it was so much better, that I was like, oh God, you're right. And I don't want to admit it, but you were right.
Is interesting because I saw that when we first connected years back. I was like, this woman is like this, but I can also see how you become so fixated on carrying your sword. So what I told her last night, for the people that are listening, I said, you're a big old softie with a big heart. You're strong and sexy, but if anybody gets in the way of your goals, you're gonna cut their head off. And that's just I cannot, and I could not have said that in any better manner than that, because it's the truth. And we talked about this also last night. You're also coming to a place where you can accept that you are full of love, that you have a big heart for people. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And
Yeah.
that doesn't make you weak, that makes you strong. So you can balance being strong and sexy, being a businesswoman, and every now and again, if you gotta, impale somebody, you do what you gotta do, and then you keep it moving.
And like ladies listening, so here's the theme, and I love the fact that I just had this idea. Let's do a little quickie man crush Monday with someone who's really going to impart some knowledge, because sometimes we need that reassurance to know that, like, yes, you can be cutthroat in the way you look at your numbers in business, or the way you go after deals, or whatever your industry is, right? The way you have goals. Like, you have to have a goal. A business needs money, but you don't have to go about it doing it a crappy way. You can be a person of like carnage as it like relates to your goals, but at the same time you can't lose sight of the fact that it's okay to be kind, because kind doesn't equal weakness, right? Or
Mm.
being focused and, like, wanting to impale, like, not literally, but you know what I mean, impale, to get to your goals, is not wrong either. So it's exactly how you said it, balancing that divine feminine and masculine energy, which I personally, when you said that I was a softie, I was like, no, I am not. No, I am not. I get everything done. And then when I realized that I'm crying the majority of 2020, I'm like, what the hell? All I am is a big soft mush. But when you have somebody that recognizes in you, no, don't forget, like, where you came from. Like, you're going to cut throats if you have to. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's because you see the goal, and I support you in your goal, and you're not wrong for your goal. But don't lose sight of the fact that it's coming from a place of love. And that when you love a little bit more than you're used to, it doesn't make you weak, and it doesn't make you soft. So, oh gosh, there's so much advice I'm sure you could give. I'm like at a loss for the like the final question, because like my perfectionist side is like, ask a really good one. It's like gonna summarize the whole thing, and I can't, because if I ask one question, it's gonna lead to all these other questions. So
Right,
um,
right.
when you look at that balance, because you focused on helping educate men in the areas of, self-control, how do you really step into your power, and how do you really appreciate women? Like, if you had a scenario, what does that look like? Like, nothing's perfect, nothing should be cookie
Mhm.
cutter, but I guess this is the best question: where do you see the biggest gap where people are having problems in living authentically and being that support mechanism for somebody, whether it's themselves or the opposite sex? And what can we do to just empower each other better? Starts from within, right?
It does, and that's a really good question. That really is. And one main thing that I can say right off the top of the dome is we are so fixated on living somebody else's life, man and woman. We're so caught up in the idea of what somebody else's success looks like that we neglect what truly matters to us. When at the end of the day, that's something that we absolutely desire, but we're afraid that if we spend time working on that, then we're gonna, what's the term that they say? Retrieve a failure, I forget it, but you're gonna miss out on what you think that you want at the end of the day. Ultimately, it because somebody another friend of mine, she asked me this question on my podcast. She was like, how do you balance the two? I need some of that guidance. And I would invite men and women to spend time with yourself. Like, acknowledge what you feel, acknowledge when you cry, acknowledge when you're upset, acknowledge when you're happy, appreciate when you're happy, but don't attach yourself to it. You really have to see where it's coming from. You really have to spend time with knowing what is somebody else's conditioning and thought process versus your own. Because it took me a minute to realize too that I'm not only deconditioning myself from the world that I've been exposed to today as a young man, but I'm also deconditioning myself from what my parents went through as well, because they're only teaching us what their parents taught them. It may not be the right way, it may not be the wrong way, but we know intrinsically that it's not serving us, that there's something missing here. So first we need to look at that. And one way that you can go about becoming more comfortable with doing that introspective work is to journal a little bit. Write down what you feel, why you feel it in that moment. It's the most safest and vulnerable space that you can be in because nobody's judging you. And you get to observe what it is that's truly going on the inside, because not everybody is articulate when it comes to words. Not everybody, especially in the heat of the moment, can explain what it is that they're feeling, why they're feeling it, why they're angry. Usually people are just going off at the handle. But when you
Right.
take time to feel that energy,
Mhm.
go take a walk, go get some water, you get to look at it from an objective place. You're not so focused on the
Mhm.
anger. After doing that, you begin to have more compassion with yourself. Thus, when you get in, or when you start to form connections with different people in the world, when they are not behaving in a way that your ego likes, you can have compassion for that because you know that they may not know where this is coming from. So let them honor this moment. And then once they come back to me, we can talk about, okay, why did you feel that way? Are you aware of where that came from? And then we can move towards growth together versus being like crabs in a barrel and trying to pull each other down just simply because you want 50,000 more followers than this person because it's going to help you fill some type of void. No, it doesn't work like that. Like you and I both know that there are people who have endless zeros in their bank account, but they don't have peace. And to finish it, because I know that I can be long-winded, ultimately, once you do that work and you become a little bit more effective with it and it's helping you, you find that internal peace. I think at the end of the day, both men and women are just looking for their own peace. And it's
I could say
difficult to
that's
find
true.
today.
I
Yeah.
could say that's true because I feel like if I ever lashed out, if I ever pushed anyone away, like that's my mojo. When I get frustrated, I've isolated. And that is something that maybe temporarily you need to reflect to get back on track. But to isolate because you think you can do it yourself, it's really coming from a place of inner turmoil. And as you're if you're going to go forward as an entrepreneur, whether you're starting a business or you run a business or you run a company or you want another responsibility in life, you're an athlete, you're a mom, you're whatever, like it takes focus and it takes security to push the naysayers out. But the biggest naysayer can't be yourself. You can't isolate
Mhm.
yourself and tell yourself no, knowing that there's really inner turmoil there. So I think this is an amazing, amazing little quickie. It's probably a little bit longer than a quickie, but hey. And ladies listening, I don't know about you, but he's got that voice that you can listen to all day. So I highly suggest you check out his podcast. And for the guys, let it sink in. I know it sounds a little weird to be like, listen to the voice, but listen to the content because For this particular episode, I think men and women are going to enjoy the content because it's a way to be better together. But ladies, I challenge you not to be soothed to sleep while you listen to his podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the Man Crush Monday Quickie today. And I know you'll be back for sure because there's way too much that we could
Yes.
cover. And there's way too much that we've actually had conversations about, like on the phone forever, that is just knowledge bombs that people need to hear. So where can they find you on Instagram or get in touch with you, or what's the preferred? Tell us all about the deets. What you got
The
going on?
deets, okay. Obviously, I'm on the gram, Griff So Official. You can listen to my podcast, Talks with Griff. And that's pretty much what my focus is right now. 9 times out of 10, if you want to DM me, you can shoot me an email. My email is on my IG as well. I'm all for conversations and invitations. So y'all look me up, take a listen, share the podcast. It's amazing, constant gems. And there's an episode with Christina on there too. So I'm pretty sure y'all will love that. Go
That one
check that
was
one
fun.
out.
I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoyed that one. And we, you
Mhm.
know what? Today was a little bit more serious for Man Crush Money, but we definitely can bring a lively conversation for sure. And just to be a little teaser, ladies and gents, for a future episode, I'm gonna drop a provocative term. Griff talked about in one of his posts, and I'm gonna go to the Instagram, about how to how do you what's the terminology for controlling your ejaculations?
Oh, semen retention.
Semen
Yes.
retention. I saw it posted. I was like, excuse me, son, what is this? So just a little carrot for you. Go over there, learn about that, and I'm sure men, it's going to change their lives.
Yes, it
Well,
will.
definitely.
It
I
will.
wanted to bring that up, but I know we would talk for like another half an hour. So go check that out, and we'll stay tuned for the next time Griff is on the Man Crush Monday.
Thank you.